Welcome to ZIA TV, covering small cap stocks and emerging companies. Today we're speaking with Tim McCutcheon, president of Wealth Minerals. Tim, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about the problem that your company solves and maybe what differentiates you from your competitors.
If you look at the lithium space today, what you will see is lots of industrial companies ramping up their plans for consuming lithium, and specifically I'm talking about automobile manufacturers. So clearly there is a paradigm shift going on in the world in how energy is consumed and stored, and the auto manufacturers at the forefront of that. In spite of that paradigm shift, though, what you see in the underlying lithium space is that there really isn't a lot of room in the next 3 to 5 years for the industry to meet the demands of what the consumers want. And so the opportunity here was to position a company with premier world-class assets in arguably the best jurisdiction for mining for this type of asset to fill this supply-demand gap. And that's the problem that we solve. We're addressing the paradigm shift going on in the world today regarding energy and how it's used and consumed, and basically getting maximum leverage for our shareholders to get into that on the back of increasing very visible demand and, frankly, a lack of understanding by future consumers about how the commodities markets actually work. And that's to the benefit of Wealth Minerals shareholders, but it's really the underlying business plan, if you will, of the company.
And is that what sets your company apart from your competitors?
Well, the key thing that sets us apart is the quality of the assets we have and the jurisdiction. You know, anytime you're in a paradigm shift scenario, usually things happen exponentially. And we certainly think that's going to happen in the lithium space in terms of lithium-ion batteries being used. But if you're an investor trying to get exposure to that paradigm shift, what you don't want to do is get the fundamentals right, but your actual exposure wrong. There's no real way to play this on an index way, so you have to pick and choose companies. And so if you're playing lithium and that lithium asset is in a jurisdiction that's not as stable as Chile is, you could be in a very unfortunate situation where when the paradigm shift really does kick off, you're stuck in a political environment that hinders your equity upside because the underlying country isn't as stable as it could be. Chile is a mining-friendly place. It's had lithium production for many, many years. Lithium production from salt lake beds or salars is by far the lowest cost source of lithium in the world today. And the country has been producing lithium from these salars for decades. So there's a lot of know-how, there's a lot of understanding on a government level, a local level, within local businesses as to how this all works. And that sort of background is really not present in other jurisdictions where you're producing lithium from. So if you believe in the paradigm shift, you want to be in lithium. If you believe in lithium, you want to be in Chile. And that's what separates us out from everyone else, is that we are by far the premier junior development company for the lithium space in Chile today.
All right, tell us a little bit about your path to results in Q4 and beyond.
So what we've done is the growth of Wealth Minerals has gone from creating a platform to do our business plan, then acquiring assets, and then from the asset acquisition phase to shift into the asset development phase, and that's what we're doing now. So our core asset is something called Atacama, and we have 46,000 hectares in the Atacama Salar. That entire geological body accounts for 1/3 of global production. We're only 30 kilometers away from the production facilities that represent 1/3 of global production. And so in the fourth quarter of this year and then going into the first quarter of next year, we'll be deploying capital to conduct geophysical surveys, to identify targets, to then drill those targets, and at the same time conducting various work to test the brines that we extract. So you have a clear sort of a benchmark events happening for the company in the next 3 to 6 months. And we'll also be doing the same thing on some of our other assets as well, including the Trinity group of assets, as well as Laguna Verde. So the market is going to be looking forward to a series of events of hard data points that will be coming out on our assets in the next 2 quarters.
Are there other specific factors that are driving your growth?
Well, the specific factor is one of them is that Chile has recognized that it has a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be essentially the Saudi Arabia of lithium. It is an extremely well-endowed place. It has some of the best assets in the world for this. And the legislation and the regulations that surround the extraction and sale of lithium are a little outdated. And so what you see if you read press releases from government officials, if you read the news, is that Chile is rapidly deregulating the lithium space within its country. And that's a specific factor to Wealth Minerals, is that although we have this land package, having that and developing those assets on the backdrop of a country that is actively encouraging the type of assets we have to be put into production and developed is something that is unique to Wealth Minerals and going to be to benefit to all of the shareholders of Wealth.
Any other company news that you might like to share with us?
Well, some of the things that we're doing is from transitioning from asset acquisition to asset development. We're building out our team locally, and one of the nice things about being in Chile is that you have all of these people who have had decades of experience working in salars because the industry there is very old. So that's another thing that other companies don't have. And so we've been doing that, building out our team locally, hiring local know-how, people who know what they're doing. That's number one. And then number two, moving forward with our development is working with various large institutions within Chile to make sure that we have the easiest path for developing assets. So there are 3 state agencies in Chile. One is called Corfo, one is called INAMI, the other is called Codelco. They're all state-owned companies that are really ideal partners for moving assets forward, and we're talking with all of them. The plan is that by bringing in one of those state-owned companies as a partner, it will again allow Wealth Minerals to accelerate the development of its assets.
Tim, great talking with you. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us right here on ZIA TV as well. You can read more in-depth coverage of Wealth Minerals at scr.zax.com.